Welcome back, everyone. Get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of arthropods.
Oh, yeah. Those creepy crawlies with exoskeletons and way too many legs.
Exactly. We're going to be exploring some fascinating excerpts from a text all about them.
Some really cool stuff.
I mean, have you ever stopped to think about what actually makes a spider different from a centipede?
Or how about those insane transformations insects go through?
We're about to unravel all those mysteries and more. So to kick things off, let's set the stage.
Sounds good.
What exactly are we dealing with when we talk about arthropods?
Well, we're talking about the largest phylum in the entire animal kingdom, the arthropoda.
Wow, the largest. That's a lot of critters.
Oh, yeah. A huge diversity of creatures all bundled under this one umbrella.
Okay, so before we get lost in all that diversity, maybe we should break down the basics.
Yeah.
What are the must-have features that make an animal an arthropod?
It's like a checklist. You need segmented bodies, jointed legs, an exoskeleton, and they have to grow by molting. All those together, that's your ticket to the arthropod club.
So those jointed legs working together with the segmented bodies, that's what gives them that incredible flexibility, right?
Exactly. Think about the crazy ways a spider can move. That's all thanks to those jointed appendages.
Like they're made of rubber. And then there's the exoskeleton, which is like their suit of armor.
It provides protection and support, absolutely crucial.
But hold on, with all that tough armor, how do they even grow? It seems like it'd be a real struggle.
That's where molting comes in. It's their secret weapon for growth.
Okay, so they shed their old exoskeleton, right?
Exactly. And while they're still soft and vulnerable, a new, bigger exoskeleton starts to harden underneath.
Kind of like squeezing out of a too small shirt and having a fresh one waiting.
Perfect analogy. Now, I know you're eager to dive into insects.
Oh, absolutely. They're like the celebrities of the arthropod world, right?
Yeah.
So many different kinds, and they're everywhere.
You got it. They are a class within the arthropoda phylum, and they're incredibly diverse. But to be a true insect, there are a few non-negotiables. You need three body sections: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen.
Okay, so the head is the brain center, obviously.
Yeah.
What about the thorax? Is that where all the legs are attached?
You got it. 6 legs, all anchored to the thorax, and usually you'll find a pair of wings attached there too.
Ah, the wings. Those are essential for so many insects.
Absolutely. And don't forget the antenna, 1 pair on the head. So there you have it, 3 body sections, 6 legs, and 1 pair of antennae. That's your insect starter kit.
Got it. But I know insects aren't the only arthropods out there. What about all their relatives?
Oh, there are plenty. We've got crabs, spiders, millipedes, centipedes, all hanging out under the big arthropod family tree.
Okay, so with so many legs and segments going around, how do we tell these different relatives apart?
You gotta pay attention to the details. Let's start with crustaceans, like crabs and lobsters. They typically have 5 to 7 pairs of legs, 2 main body parts, and 2 pairs of antennae.
2 pairs of antennae. That's double the insect amount.
Right. Now let's move on to arachnids. Think spiders and scorpions.
Okay, 8 legs, right.
Exactly. 4 pairs of legs, 2 body regions, but no antenna this time.
Interesting. So no antenna for the arachnids. What about the millipedes and centipedes?
They're in their own categories. Millipedes have a whopping 2 pairs of legs per body segment, while centipedes have just 1 pair per segment. And both have 1 pair of antennae, but their body structures are pretty distinct.
Wow, it's amazing how those little differences create such drastically different creatures. A lobster with its giant claws versus a delicate spider spinning its web. Both arthropods, but living in totally different worlds.
It really highlights the incredible diversity within this phylum.
Okay, so we've got a handle on who's who in the arthropod family, but what about their growth? It's not like they just gradually get bigger over time, right? There's those wild transformations we were talking about earlier.
You're talking about metamorphosis. And yes, that's where things get really fascinating.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty of metamorphosis, what are instars? I've heard that term before, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Instars are the distinct stages of development between molts. It's not just about shedding the old exoskeleton, it's about the changes that happen during those molts.
So each molt marks a new instar, a new phase of growth and development.
Exactly. Think of it like leveling up in a video game. Each level, or instar, comes with new abilities and features.
So if I see a tiny fly buzzing around, it's not a baby fly, right? It's an adult that just stayed small because it didn't go through as many instars.
You got it. Now, are you ready to tackle metamorphosis?
I'm all ears.
All right, so metamorphosis is essentially a biological makeover, and there are 2 main types: simple and complete.
Simple metamorphosis sounds, well, simple enough.
It is. Think of it as a gradual transformation. The insect starts as an egg, hatches into a nymph, and then matures into an adult.
So the nymph is basically a mini version of the adult.
Pretty much. Just smaller and without fully developed wings.
So like a little grasshopper nymph hopping around, looking like a miniature version of its parents.
Exactly. And with each molt, the nymph gets a bit bigger and more adult-like until finally it reaches full maturity.
Makes sense. But I have a feeling complete metamorphosis is a bit more dramatic, right?
Oh yeah, get ready for some mind-blowing transformations.
Okay, hit me with it. What makes complete metamorphosis so special?
Picture a caterpillar morphing into a butterfly. That's the epitome of complete metamorphosis. It's a 4-stage process. Egg, larva, pupa, and finally the adult emerges.
Wow, that's quite a journey. So tell me more about each stage. What's going on during the larval stage?
The larva is all about eating and growing. Think of a caterpillar munching away on leaves, storing up energy for the incredible changes to come.
It's like they're on a constant buffet. So then they
Yep.
move on to the pupa stage, right?
Right. And that's where the real magic happens.
What's going on inside that cocoon or chrysalis?
It's like a complete renovation. The larva's body breaks down, and new tissues and organs develop to form the adult insect.
It's like a biological construction zone in there.
Absolutely. And when it's all done, out pops the adult, ready for a completely different life than its larval stage.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. The caterpillar munching leaves transforms into a butterfly, sipping nectar from flowers. 2 completely different lifestyles.
And often they live in completely different habitats, too.
So complete metamorphosis is kind of a strategy for survival, right? The young adults aren't competing for the same resources.
You nailed it. Now, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on these different types of metamorphosis?
Well, it makes me wonder, why would insects evolve such wildly different ways of growing up?
That's a great question.
And it makes me think, what kind of metamorphosis do some of our favorite insects go through?
That's something to ponder. And remember, we've only just dipped our toes into the fascinating world of these incredible creatures. You know, it's easy to forget how incredible those adaptations really are.
Yeah, it's easy to just take them for granted.
Take that exoskeleton, for example.
It's not just some hard shell, is it?
No way. It's like a masterpiece of engineering, providing protection, supporting the body, even helping them conserve water.
Wow, a multi-purpose suit of armor.
Right.
But you did say it kind of limits their growth, right?
Right, which is why molting is so important.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's risky, though, you know. Leaves them super vulnerable while that new exoskeleton is hardening.
It is, but I guess the benefits outweigh the risks.
Definitely. It's a chance to grow and adapt, and not just in size.
Yeah,
Molting allows them to change their shape, develop new features like wings.
it's almost like hitting a biological reset button.
Exactly. Speaking of wings, can we talk about insect flight for a minute?
Oh, please, let's. I mean, they're the first animals on Earth to take to the skies.
They were, and they've totally mastered it.
Think about dragonflies, like little aerial acrobats.
Zipping around, changing directions instantly. Some can even fly backward.
It's like they figured out some secret code of aerodynamics.
Their wings are so lightweight and flexible, which lets them make those precise maneuvers.
And they're fast.
It's amazing. Scientists are still studying them, trying to improve our own aircraft designs.
I can see why. But flight isn't just about getting around, is it?
Oh, no.
It's key for finding food, attracting mates,
Huh.
escaping predators.
Absolutely. It adds a whole other dimension to their lives.
And the diversity. We haven't even talked about the different shapes and sizes.
From the delicate wings of a butterfly to the armored wings of a beetle, each one perfectly designed for its lifestyle.
Okay, so we've talked about all the amazing things about insects. But, some people just see them as pests.
That's true, but it's important to remember that pest is just a label we put on them.
Right, and we can't forget about their crucial role in the ecosystem.
Absolutely. Insects are essential for pollination.
So many plants, including a lot of the crops we rely on, depend on them.
And they're nature's recyclers, breaking down organic matter.
The ultimate cleanup crew. Can't imagine what the world would be like without them.
It would be a lot messier, that's for sure. And much less vibrant.
Okay, point taken. Every creature has its purpose. I want to talk about something that always blows my mind. Insect senses.
Oh, they're incredible. They experience the world so differently from us.
It's like they have superpowers.
Their senses are perfectly tuned to their environment.
Take their vision, for example.
Many insects have compound eyes, which give them a much wider field of view, and they can see ultraviolet light.
So they're seeing colors and patterns that are totally invisible to us.
Exactly.
That's amazing. And their sense of smell.
Oh, it's often incredibly sensitive. Some can detect pheromones from miles away.
Miles? Seriously?
Seriously, like moths, for example.
Wow. Talk about long-distance attraction.
It's truly remarkable. And don't forget about their sense of touch.
Oh, right. All those sensitive hairs all over their bodies.
They're picking up vibrations in the air and ground, constantly sensing the world around them.
It's like a sixth sense. Makes you wonder what it would be like to experience the world through their senses.
It's humbling, right? To think about these tiny creatures with such sophisticated ways of perceiving the world. The more we learn, the more we realize how much we still don't know.
I know. It's like we're living on different planets even when we're standing right next to a bug.
Right.
But we've been talking about all these cool adaptations, the exoskeletons, the wings, those incredible senses.
Yeah.
But I want to dive into one of the things I find most fascinating about insects. Their social structures.
Oh, for sure. The level of organization and cooperation you see in some insect societies, it's mind-blowing.
It really is. It's like watching a perfectly choreographed dance with everyone knowing their part.
I like that, a choreographed dance.
And it works so well. Think about ant colonies or beehives.
Thousands, sometimes even millions of individuals all working together.
Like a bustling city.
Exactly. And just like a city, you've got that division of labor with different individuals having specific roles.
You've got the queen, whose main job is to keep the colony going by laying all those eggs.
Right, the queen's like the heart of the colony.
But she can't do it all alone, can she?
Definitely not. That's where the workers come in.
The tireless workforce, taking care of all the tasks.
Foraging for food, taking care of the young, building and maintaining the nest.
And protecting the colony.
It's amazing how they manage to do all that so effectively without anyone giving them direct orders.
It really is. There's no central command, no one telling them what to do.
It's all driven by instinct and those pheromone signals.
Chemical cues that trigger specific actions.
Exactly. Think about the waggle dance honeybees do. They use that to tell each other where to find food.
It's like their secret language, a code written in movement and scent.
And it works amazingly well, letting them share resources and keep the colony thriving.
It really makes you appreciate the power of natural selection, doesn't it?
Millions of years of evolution have shaped those social structures.
It's a good reminder that cooperation and communication are so important.
Not just for insects, but for any species that wants to succeed.
Including us. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have. We've explored what makes an arthropod an arthropod.
The incredible transformations of metamorphosis.
The amazing sensory world of insects.
And those complex social structures that still have scientists scratching their heads.
But we've barely scratched the surface. There's so much more to learn about these incredible creatures.
Their diversity, their adaptations, their behavior.
It's a constant reminder that the natural world is full of wonders, just waiting for us to explore them.
Even in our own backyards, there's a whole universe of arthropods living their lives.
So next time you see a spider building its web or an ant carrying something way bigger than itself, take a moment to appreciate them.
They might be small, but they're an essential part of the web of life here on Earth.
Well said. It's been a pleasure exploring with you today.
It really has. And I hope you'll join us again next time for another fascinating deep dive.
Until then, keep those minds curious and never stop exploring.
There are so many amazing discoveries out there just waiting to be made.